Hi, everyone. Okay, so we're going to go through it's part one of the complaint process. So yesterday was part two. Um, Now I did part two first, um, for, well, for a couple reasons, but today's part one. I have it. I only submitted it. I submitted it to the Law Society on June 21st, 2024. Um, their response was it would take 6 to 8 weeks before I got an answer. So no way in time for the trial or the hearing. Now, um, so like it really speaks volumes on how uninterested the Law Society is on the practices of their lawyers. Now, a lawyer can bully and harass somebody, go through these hearings, go through a trial. It could be unfair practices. And you know what? There's nothing that the Law Society will not get involved in a hearing per se. They will examine the practices of the lawyers, but they won't get involved in a hearing. So it was essential that this hearing took place because they're allowed to bully and harass a person without any recourse for 6 to 8 weeks. So only after this hearing takes place, only after a decision gets made, do they step in and say, hey, this is unfair. But guess what? An order has already been placed, so there's nothing we can do about it. So the Law Society really does not have any jurisdiction or say over its. No, that's incorrect. They do have jurisdiction with the lawyers that practice in Manitoba. They just refuse to get involved. Um, they prefer, it seems, to step in after the fact, after everything is said and done, and after nothing can be done about it. Um, or at least that's my understanding of this. Now, my understanding might be inaccurate. I don't know. But what I do know is I went to the Law Society for help, and they basically said 6 to 8 weeks for an investigation. And it doesn't matter if this hearing is in a few days. We're not going to talk to that lawyer. We're not going to say, you know what, postpone this while we look into this matter. No, they were allowed to proceed. They were allowed to go through with this unfair hearing. Um, and we'll talk more about the hearing in a little bit. Um, and the documents. I'm going to be reviewing all the evidence with you guys, and going over this in detail because I really feel that my Canadian rights have been violated. I feel that, honestly, I feel violated by the Manitoba College of Social Workers because they are literally prying into my personal life, judging me professionally on matters that are not professional at all. Now, this complaint that the Manitoba Law Society is investigating or investigated per se, I'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's interesting because a lot of this evidence that they submitted has absolutely nothing to do with the complaint itself. And we'll talk about that in the next few slides. But I want to concentrate on the first part of my complaint to the Law Society. Okay, so so this is the first page. Again, it's just basic information, my information, who the opposing party is. Now, this part I only put Ian Scarth on. However, in part two, I asked that Jessica Hershey also be included on this one as well. The second page, point 3, who does this lawyer represent? The panel from the Manitoba College of Social Workers. What is their involvement? Opposing party. And in reality, they are an opposing party. They're supposed to be an unbiased party, but there is absolutely no way Corey Wilson can be on the panel. And the decisions that they are rendering just proves time and time again that it is not an unbiased panel. What is the area of law involved? Professional employment. It was professional misconduct, but whatever. Um, where and when is this next hearing? July 23rd, 24th, 25th, 2024. It was at the College of Social Workers. Um, Number 6, jumping ahead. What are your main concerns? Unfair hearing practices. Number 7, I have not been given sufficient time to obtain a lawyer given the limited funds and the fact legal aid will not take on such matters as employment matters. The hearing dates scheduled next are for 3 consecutive days, which seems excessive. It also forces me to take 5 days off work as I live in an area of the country with limited resources and busing to Winnipeg needs to occur in the morning as per bus schedules. So I'd have to leave on the morning of July 22nd, 2024 and return on July 26th, 2024. I've just started a new job and this excess of time away puts my job at risk. My job is only the only means I have to support myself, which then means that I'm being forced into unnecessary hardship. It should also be noted that I have also reached out to treaty bodies of the United Nations and I've asked for their assistance as I feel my human rights in this case are being violated as I'm being judged professionally on matters where I was acting as a parent, visiting my daughter in the hospital while she was in a coma. This hearing is also an attack on my identity as a social worker. One does not stop being a lawyer just because they are on their personal time. They will not practice on their personal time, but that does not change who they are or the designation behind their names, as the designation still remains. So the fact that I'm being questioned and attacked for identifying myself as a social worker when I've earned that designation is obscure and discriminatory. So getting back to the next part here. Number 8, on May 16th, I was told that I would have to tell them at the next hearing if there was a conflict of interest with any of the members of the panel. Ian Scarth refused to provide me with any information on the panel members besides their name. One of the panel members, Corey Wilson, and I went to school together. He bullied and harassed me during classes. Now he is on the panel, and now he is a panel member. I can provide witnesses to what I am saying and a yearbook to prove that we in fact did go to school together. It is a conflict of interest for him to be on the panel. I want Corey Wilson off the panel and I want more information. Sorry, number 9. I want Corey Wilson off the panel. I want more information on the panel members so I can be informed of who exactly they are so I can say if a conflict exists. I am asking for a resolution to my complaint before the next hearing date of July 23rd, 2024. While I understand the Law Society is very busy, I am recording this process on my YouTube channel, Manitoba Family Systems, A Shame of Canada, in the hopes that this complaint will get addressed ASAP. Now, it never did get addressed ASAP. In fact, I got a letter stating that it would take 6 to 8 weeks for the panel to even review it. Or not the panel, the Law Society to even review it. Now, the next part, it didn't scan. Okay, well, the next part is an email. It was an attachment to this complaint, which it didn't scan. So we'll talk about that on the next slide. I will also be showing the response from the Law Society itself. Now, keep in mind this hearing. I asked for help from the Law Society, and they just allowed the hearing to go ahead regardless. But I will I will I just want to go over one more thing quickly before I end um, this video here. Okay, so June 5th, I wrote Ian and Miss Garth, and I said, Ian, I need more time, or I need more information about the people on the panel, like their full names, who they are affiliated with, and where they have been affiliated with in the past. In order to determine if a conflict of interest exists, I need to know more about them. Ian writes, Ian Scarth writes, Ms. Mayaska, I've confirmed receipt of your email. However, please copy Ms. Hershey on communication. I'll raise your request with the panel and provide a further response. However, before I do, Ms. Hershey, do you have any comments about Ms. Mayaska's request that you want the panel to consider? Please include Ms. Mayaska in your response. And I responded, who's Miss Hershey in relation to this matter? So this was at the very beginning of all the communications. So this was really confusing for me, okay? Because there was two lawyers involved in this matter. One representing the college and one representing the Manitoba College of Social Worker panel. And both of them seemed to be coming at me. And from my take, like that is extreme. Like I'm just an individual person. Like this is true legal harassment. Um and Ian writes back, Ms. Hershey is legal counsel for the College of Social Workers and was present during the initial hearing. I write back saying thank you. I'm unsure. Thank you. As I'm sure you recall, I've asked for the names of all who attended get sent to me, which has never happened. I'm still waiting on this information. He writes back, Ian Scarth writes back, Ms. Mayaska, in response to your email and subsequent email at 9 a.m., you have all the names of the people in attendance at the hearing, except for Barbara Temmerman, the registrar of the college. My role in the process is to provide legal advice to the panel. Okay. So then I write back. This was on June 5th, 2024. I said, Mr. Scarth, I assure you that I do not have the names of any of the I assure you that I do not have the names of any of the people on the panel that were at the hearing. Further, I will also need who these people are affiliated with and have been affiliated with. I feel like your lack of response is a delay tactic to waste time, so I don't have time to look into these individuals. If you're so sure I have them, why respond with an email that can only be perceived as evasive? Why not just respond with a list of names of who they are at the hearing, with who they are affiliated with? For the next hearing, it will have to be done over Zoom, as I will not be able to attend in person. So that was June 5th. Oh, there is one more thing. So on June 21st, I also write to him and say, there's no way I can take this kind of time off work or afford accommodations and transportations to get out there. You'll need to send a video link, and Corey Wilson will need to be removed from the panel if I'm to attend. Anyway, so what happened was um some more emails went back and forth, and we'll go over it more in depth in the next video. Well, I'm also discussing the Manitoba Law Society's response to my complaints. Um, I did indicate to Ian Scarth and Jessica Hershey like the hardships that this trial is putting me on in, um, how my life literally would be risked if I had to get out there. I wasn't gonna. I was going to try and minimize the impact to my job. So you know what, we'll go over this all in the next video. But as you can see, I did take the appropriate action. I did reach out to the Law Society. We'll also talk about the email I sent to the Ombudsman's Office in Manitoba and their lack of response. And I will also put up, show you email I sent to the Premier of Manitoba too. And again, no real interest in trying to help me out. So these are things that we will be discussing in depth in these videos. And I'll be discussing who I reached out to. Like, I am a social worker, so I do know the avenues to try to take to resolve these things. However, with every resource that I reached out to, it was essentially they have no interest in helping, which really speaks to how how biased the system is, and how difficult it is for individuals who need assistance to go and get help with. And again, we'll be talking about this more later on. For right now, I think that that's pretty well it. Oh, there is one more thing. So today I received email from Jessica Hershey, and it was very presumptuous because a decision has not been rendered by the college. But this email pretty much lays out the amount of cost that they want, the expectations they have on cost. Now, it's from my understanding, hang on a second, I'll just open it up here. It looks like it's almost 100,000 in cost, like once everything's said and done. I might be mistaken with that. Just give me a second to open this up. But I mean, okay, so they want yeah, it's about, well, they're asking for $800 to go to the college investigator. Over $2,000, $2,382 to go to the court reporter. 27,400 to go to Pitt Blado Law. MLT Ankins, they're requesting 10,200, and to the inquiry panel honorarium for the hearing and deliberation 200, for a total of $41,000. Now, this is the definition of financial exploitation. I'm a single person. I am barely surviving as it is. I was expected to take time off work, which ended up me losing my employment. I was forced to literally hitchhike to Winnipeg to go to this hearing because they refused to allow me to attend via video conference because I didn't have a camera. They refused to put me up anywhere. So if I didn't have friends in the city, which they didn't know I did, I would have been forced to stay on the streets to go to this hearing. And like, this is the type of harassment that is occurring right now. And I will be uploading these documents. I'm going to be going over step by step all the documents in the next few days. Like I said, I'm trying to allocate about an hour each day um, for this, and that is specifically so we can go over all the documentations that the college has submitted, and that you can see firsthand how my Canadian rights have been violated. How because I mean, like, somebody should be penalized for stating their opinion. That's what freedom of speech is. Um, which is in our Canadian Constitution and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Um, it also speaks to how obscure the panel actually is, because I didn't work in Manitoba since October 2023. Now, this complaint is over something that happened in January 2023. So during a time, I had not been working in Manitoba for months at this point. So now I'm not working in Manitoba. This complaint isn't coming from an employer, it's not coming from a client, it's not coming from a work colleague, but yet they're trying to charge me with professional misconduct. That does not make sense. Anyways, that's it for right now. And tomorrow we'll talk about the response from the Manitoba Law Society. Have a good day, everyone.